My name is Laura, and I'm 32 years old. If you had asked my family about me a few years ago, they would have told you that I was the one who would never make it. I wasn't the firstborn, the golden child. I wasn't the one who played by the rules and climbed the quaid by the rules and climbed the corporate ladder like everyone expected me to. No, that was my older brother, Daniel, the finance prodigy. My father, the self-made billionaire, built an empire with his bare hands. My mother, a real estate mogul who could turn anything into gold. And me. I was the one who couldn't hold down a steady job, who always seemed to fall short of their standards. I was the disappointment. But what they didn't know, what none of them could have ever predicted, was that one day I would be the reason their empire was shaken to its core. I remember that day like it was yesterday. It had been another one of those awkward family dinners where the conversation was all about profits, mergers, and acquisitions. My father was talking about his latest venture, his voice booming with pride, while my mother smiled like the queen of the world. And then Daniel, perfect, always perfect Daniel, casually mentioned how his latest investment was paying off. I sat there, picking at my food, listening to them talk about their achievements while I felt smaller and smaller. "You've got to do better, Laura," my father had said, his tone colder than usual. "This tech gig you're doing, it's cute, but it's not serious. We need you to be serious. This isn't the time for your little experiments." His words stung. I felt like a failure in that moment, but there was nothing I could say. What was the point? They didn't understand me. They didn't understand that I was trying to make a name for myself, to do something that mattered to me, not just follow in their footsteps. But I had a secret. Deep down, I knew something they didn't. I was building something. I was a part of a small, struggling tech startup. Sure, we were barely scraping by, but I had faith that one day we could do something huge. I just had to keep pushing forward, even when everything around me seemed to scream that I was heading for another failure. Then, one fateful day, the unimaginable happened. The startup I had been working for, the one no one thought would make it, was bought out. But not by some random tech giant or investor. No, it was my family's company, the very empire my father had built. Yes, you heard that right. The family that had called me a failure was now buying the company I had poured my heart into. I still remember the shock that hit me when I first learned of the acquisition. My fingers trembled as I read the email announcing that my family's empire had decided to purchase our startup. I couldn't breathe. For years, I had been trying to prove myself, to show my family that I was capable, that I wasn't just the failure they thought I was. And now, here I was, my company, my team, had been bought by them. The very people who had always doubted me, always dismissed my dreams, were now a part of the very thing I had helped build. But instead of feeling defeated, something inside me clicked. This was my moment. This was my time to prove them wrong. The company that they thought was just a phase had become part of their legacy, and I had been a part of making it happen. It didn't take long for word to spread. When my father found out that I had been working for the company they'd just acquired, he called me up. His voice was unusually calm, a bit softer than usual. "Laura," he said, "I didn't realize you were involved with them. I guess you were right. This company, they have something special." I didn't know how to respond. Was this my father admitting he was wrong? Was he actually recognizing the work I had done? "Yeah, well," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "I've always known what I was doing, Dad." From that moment, things started changing. The lines between my family's empire and my own achievements began to blur. As the acquisition moved forward, I was tasked with helping integrate the startup into my family's vast network. Suddenly, I was sitting in boardrooms, making decisions alongside the very executives who had once scoffed at my ideas. But what they didn't know was that I wasn't just playing their game anymore, I was changing the rules. And it didn't take long before my father made an unexpected move. One evening, he called me again. This time, his words caught me off guard. "Laura," he said, his voice now with a hint of pride, "I've been thinking. Your perspective is different. You've proven that you can build something that works. We need that kind of thinking in our business. I want you to head up the marketing division. Your vision, your ideas, they're what this company needs to grow." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My father, The man who had always seen me as a failure was now handing me the reins to an entire division of his empire. He was acknowledging that the very qualities he had once criticized in me were the very qualities his empire now depended on. The months that followed were a whirlwind. I worked tirelessly, shaping the future of the company with new strategies, fresh ideas, and a perspective that was all my own. My family watched as I transformed the division, driving growth and innovation in ways they hadn't expected. And with each success, I couldn't help but feel the irony. It wasn't just their empire anymore, it was mine too. I wasn't just proving my worth to my family anymore. I was showing myself that I could do it on my own, that failure was never the end. It was simply a step on the path to something greater. And the more I worked, the more I realized that failure wasn't the opposite of success. It was a part of it. As I continued to lead my team, I became more than just the failure in the family. I was now a key player in the empire. The tables had turned. My father now sought my advice, my vision, and my insights. I wasn't just his daughter anymore. I was a partner in his legacy. And one day, as I stood in front of a boardroom full of executives, many of whom had once doubted me, I couldn't help but smile. They looked at me differently now, but it wasn't the looks of pity or condescension I had received years ago. No, this time, they looked at me with respect. And then I realized I hadn't just helped build their empire, I had helped redefine it.